And then Representative Wilson will speak, and then if you want to decide amongst yourselves who wants to go next.
We're not going to say.
Give us 30 seconds.
All right.
Who wants to go first? Sheriff, probably.
What is on this? You need me to, or yes, it's your call.
Anybody else speaking?
Okay.
Well, good morning, and thank you for being here today. I'm Representative Chip LaMarca from Broward County, Florida, the District 93 representative, and it's my privilege to work on something that's so important for our law enforcement and public safety community here in Florida. We have found that there are places in our great state where homeowners associations would not allow a law enforcement officer, a professional who protects us every day, to bring their vehicle home, marked or unmarked, due to some arbitrary rules, I would say. To me, this is completely unfair. Our brave men and women in law enforcement should not have to face criticism and harassment at their own home because of their occupation. Unfortunately, in today's world, they receive enough of that on a daily basis in the line of duty. It is my privilege, again, to be working on this bill, very simple bill that says that law enforcement will have the same right as anyone to live in a neighborhood and bring their vehicle home. I'm privileged to work on this with Senator Hooper, and with that, I'd like to invite Senator Hooper up to say a few words.
Thank you.
Sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ed Hooper, Senator from District 16, part of Pinellas and part of Pasco. This issue came out of my district. A HOA notified a Clearwater police officer that she was not be allowed to park her marked cruiser in her driveway after they had given her a grandfathered letter that stated she could do so. So that's where this particular legislation originated from. I think that any HOA that would put in their rules that a law enforcement vehicle, marked or unmarked, is considered a commercial vehicle is totally inappropriate. Several years ago, this legislature had to come in and make it possible for homeowners to fly the American flag and their associations, which is the right thing to do. To me, this is the right thing to do. This is, in any community, and I've had so many phone calls from other associations like, we want to have a marked cruiser in our community because it is a deterrent to bad things that bad people do. So we're going to try our best to correct this inequity and make sure that any law enforcement officer in a marked or unmarked law enforcement vehicle has the right and the privilege to park their vehicle in the driveway or the assigned parking place that they have been designated. I can't tell you how proud I am to work with Representative LaMarca. So I like the odds of this bill passing both chambers. It's an important issue for the safety of our constituents and everyone in the state of Florida. Behind me, I have some folks who would have an opinion on this legislation. And we have the Vice President of the Florida Sheriff's Association, the good sheriff of Seminole County? Gilchrist County, even better. And I'll turn it over to him. And thank you very much, and we'll take questions at the end.
Thank you. Again, I'm Bobby Schultz. I'm the elected sheriff in Gilchrist County, and I am the Vice President of the Florida Sheriff's Association. We can sit here and talk about how ridiculous that it has to come to a law being passed for something like this, but that's for another topic for another time. What I'd like to talk about is law enforcement officers are in control of crime prevention and protection. By limiting law enforcement being able to park their vehicles in their yard, you're in essence not allowing us to do our job. We're short in numbers, and by every stretch of common sense, it tells you that you want as many of these law enforcement officers marked vehicles anywhere you can to prevent crime. Statistically speaking, you will stop crime by having a marked vehicle in these neighborhoods. The Florida Sheriff's Association stands in support. We hope it passes unanimously. It should, if common sense prevails. And I can tell you that I support it 110%. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mick McHale. I'm the Senior Vice President for the Florida Police Benevolent Association. On behalf of our organization of over 31,000 members of law enforcement, we stand in support of this fine bill and commit to make sure that it's passed into law. Thank you very much.
We'll be happy to answer any, or try to attempt to answer any of your questions if you have any.
All right, I have a question. Florida politics here. This is obviously going to pass resoundingly, but there may be concerns by some about preemption, about the state legislature basically telling locals what to do in this case. How would you answer hypothetical criticism? This is another example of the state legislature overstepping its bounds.
I'll go first. As someone who served 2 terms on the city commission and 2 terms on the county commission, I respect home rule and I respect local government being able to govern in their own unique way of 400 plus cities in the state of Florida and 67 counties, but not in this way. This is with respect to law enforcement. These folks need to know that they're as welcome at home as they are when they show up to save someone's life.
And I would add to that, also as a 2-term city council member for the city of Clearwater and my 8 years in the Florida House, I too am a believer in home rule. But the first rule of government is the protection of the public safety. And if this is one component of deterring crime, then we would be remiss if we didn't do anything in our power to make sure that our constituents have everything available to them, and this costs the taxpayer absolutely nothing.
How widespread is this, do you believe?
I have one community in my district that's too widespread, but there are others. This has been an issue that has come up, not overwhelmingly, but you've been here long enough to remember the American flag restriction, and it's, law enforcement officers are their own duty really 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The fact that they happen to be at their home means they're ready to respond from that driveway or that parking spot at a moment's notice. That's why you'll typically see them back the end of the driveway so they don't have to waste that time to even back out. And rapid response is the key to public safety at all levels. So if it's 10 communities, we'll fix that problem. If it's 1,000 communities, we'll fix that problem. But it's going to be across the state, statewide law.
Look, I would add, I bought my first home with my wife, and next to that was a sheriff's cruiser, and it made us feel a lot safer at home. There's also someone in my community that was looking for a home, husband and wife. The wife happens to be a police officer. They were advised that they didn't want police cars in the neighborhood. It was too blue collar. Now, the only blue I see is that blue line, and I want to make sure that these folks have the ability to have no concern about that anywhere in the state of Florida. So to answer your question, we've only had a few opportunities where we've heard it's become an issue, but I think it's probably a bigger issue. It's just handled a lot quicker when someone hears how outrageous something like this is, and they say, all right, well, let's stop this.
What originally did you want with this issue? Was it a complaint, or was there?
A constituent of mine in District 16, she is a police officer of the city of Clearwater. Her husband is a deputy sheriff for the Pinellas Sheriff. He happens to drive an unmarked vehicle, but the HOA sent a letter to my constituent telling her that she either needed to put her car in the garage or find an alternative parking solution, that the HOA rules prohibited commercial vehicles from parking in driveways, and the HOA board had opined that that police car was a commercial vehicle. And after a news report and several newspaper articles, the HOA relented and said, we still believe we're within our rights, but we're going to make an exception. Except that you're going to sign an affidavit that says if you sell your home, you have to notify the next buyer that if you're law enforcement, you will be prohibited from parking. So they must not have believed they were that right. But we can fix that, and we intend to do so. Thank you very much for your attention, your time, and anytime if there's questions come up, Representative Lamarck and I are always available to take care of any concern. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Good job.
Sheriff?
Thank you, sir.